Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast with me, Karen Maloney. I am your host, and the intention of this podcast is to help us open our minds, get curious about ourselves, and to raise our vibration and consciousness levels. Through these conversations, we hope that you will go on an inward journey to discover the truth of who you are and to become aware of your own energy and vibration. We have the power to consciously create our lives, but we need to wake up to this fact before we can begin the process and learn the key of self-responsibility. Check out the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, Castbox, or whatever platform you listen on, and please like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Leave a review, leave a rating, as this will help it to reach more people. Check out my website as well, Soul Power Light, www.soulpowerlight.com. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. It is me, Karen Maloney, and this is the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're feeling a spring in your step now that we are moving into spring in the Northern Hemisphere. And remember as well, metaphorically and energetically, this is a time to reap what we sowed, or what ideas we may have planted towards the end of last year. There's a new energy, a new freshness in the air to really move forward again with these plans and take some baby steps. So hopefully that's something that you're all feeling excited to do at this time, and if not, that's okay as well. But if you are a woman who is looking for a bit of support or clarity or direction, or wants to make some shifts or changes in their life or in themselves, or gain more confidence and trust in themselves and their path, and that belief to create or do what they truly feel drawn to do, if there is anyone like that who is looking for support in that capacity, please reach out to me, Karen at soulpowerlight.com. I'll have a couple of one-to-one coaching slots opening up, so reach out. We'll hop on a free call, we'll have a chat and see how I might be able to help you in moving forward again and progressing. So pop me an email, let me know, Karen at soulpowerlight.com. I have another really interesting conversation for you today, and my guest is Brianna Wilkerson, and Brianna is the founder and CEO of Madewell 345. She is a holistic health and life coach with a heart to see women ditch dieting, lose weight that lasts, and thrive in their lives. She's also an essential oils advocate and empowers women to use essential oils as non-toxic solutions for their health, home and family. And essential oils is the topic of our conversation today. I have been an essential oil user for years. I absolutely love them, and I know many people do, but we dive a little deeper into actually the benefits, the difference in certain essential oils, brands, how they're harvested, cultivated, and Brianna also shares how she uses them in her daily life, and she goes through some of the most common essential oils as well, what we can use them for, the benefits, how they can be used safely within the home for all the family. So a really interesting conversation that goes in a slightly deeper dive. Maybe you might learn a little bit more about essential oils that you currently know, or if you're not using essential oils, then maybe it's something that you might be interested in incorporating into your life and your overall health and well-being. To find out more on Brianna's work, go to her website, madewell345.com. On her website as well, she also has a free 101 essential oils webinar for anyone who may want to dive a little bit deeper. So that's available on her website as well as other freebies. But as always, I will have everything linked as well on the show notes on my website, soulpowerlight.com, and click the podcast section and Brianna's show. So enjoy. Welcome everybody, and thanks for joining in for another episode. We're going to have a really fascinating conversation today that I'm really excited about as well. But first of all, welcome Brianna, and thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, you are a holistic health coach, but also you are an essentials oils advocate. And that is
Yes.
something that really fascinated me. And I just really wanted to have a conversation around because I'm a person
Yeah.
who's used them and adore them for years. And I think a lot of people have, they might know some of the basics. So I just love to share a little bit more on essential oils and their potency and the benefits and how we can use them safely and things like that. But
Mhm.
first of all, maybe even explain a little bit about your work or even why essential oils became such a thing in your life.
Yeah, so I started my health and wellness business maybe nearly 5 years ago, and it primarily started to become to be a health coach. And so
Mm-hmm.
I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, just started seeing clients, and just really wanted to do that like for the rest of my life. And that came out of my own struggle with weight and food and all those things. But
Mm,
around the same time, I was thinking about, what can I kind of add in to further support clients, further add a different, income stream. And I actually, a friend was talking about doTERRA essential oils. That's the oil brand I use,
mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let me like explore this. And I had heard about essential oils way, way time ago, but I knew nothing about them really. I just thought, hey, lavender was great for
Mm-hmm.
calming down. That's basically all I knew.
Yeah, it's probably a lot of people.
Aromatherapy, but I had no idea what kinds of oils there were. So
Mm-hmm.
but at the time, I didn't get to talk to the person. But then I started to have pain in my left wrist from tendonitis from overusage. And I just was like, oh, I don't care. I'm going to keep using it. And so then it got like I couldn't move it. And so I was
Oh,
like, oh, wow,
wow.
this pain is great. And I got introduced to kind of a blend that doTERRA has that has wintergreen, which, most companies have that. And I realized that wintergreen has methylsalicylic acid, which is the chemical constituent that really a lot of pain, over-the-counter pain medication has, but the synthetic version. Wintergreen is a natural version, and that's what helps deal with pain. And so I'm like, oh, wow, that's why it's worked. It's
Mm,
not that, and it's not that it healed. Like I still had to do physio and all that, but the pain just was like relieved in a way that it had not been relieved. And so it was from that moment that I said, okay, I want to learn about these, but also educate people. And so I would
mm,
almost say, yeah, I am an advocate, but I'm also an educator because a lot of people just don't know why things work the way they are, what actually essential oils are, or even the benefits of having like
yeah.
lavender can be used in probably like 50 ways that you only probably know, we only probably know one or two. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what kind of started it off. And so for the last 5 years, I've been just, supporting people and using them, getting them, sharing them, and whatever, wherever they want to go. And it's just been fun. It's been a cool ride.
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of, or maybe the benefits, or actually what makes them so potent in the first place.
Yeah. So essential oils, what they are is that they come from, the roots, the stem, the bark, the leaves of natural plants. And so, and even herbs. So many of us are familiar with, say, peppermint, which we know that when we chop that up or we chop up herbs like basil, it's, you start to smell it a lot more.
Mm,
And the reason why is that there are little tiny oil sacs on that peppermint leaf that when you're chopping it up, you're releasing that oil sac. And so that's why an essential oil can be 50 to 70 times more potent than the herb, is because you're just getting that oil versus, all the shrubbery and stuff like that. And so what essential oil companies have done is they've extracted, and there's many different methods for extracting these oils, steam distillation or some, you can go into all kind of stuff. And it's a
yeah.
long process, but what's really cool is that you're just getting that essential oil. And what you want to make sure though, in regards to potency, yes, it's 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. The peppermint drop can be equal to 28 cups of tea. Like it's that
Wow.
powerful. But you want to make sure whichever company you choose to use that you're getting the pure oil, because
Mm,
a lot of oils are what we call adulterated, and they've been added, stuff has been added or diluted down. And so it's not that the oil won't be work, it's just not going to be as potent and as pure as you may want it to be. I always encourage people just to do their research on the company that they're using, to making sure that they're getting the purest, most potent oil possible. Because one drop, if it's a pure oil, can go a long, long
mm,
way.
yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of how they're made. They're also effective because essential oils are a lipid, so they're a fat. Our cells actually will tend to recognize natural lipid fats. We need fats in order. A lot of people don't eat fat, but we need fat in our bodies to do a lot of things, transport things, heal our bodies, all those things. And our cells will recognize this pure lipid fat as safe. And so the oils can get into the cell. And actually in the cell is where a lot of the issues start. That's where a lot of viral things happen. And so a lot of antibiotics, which are about bacteria, they don't necessarily get into the cell. And so not all, but so that's kind of also why they're effective, is that your body is saying, this is this natural substance and I'm going to let it in so it can support me.
So powerful. Oh, I love them even more the more that I'm learning. Yeah, no, and I love how you mentioned how potent they are, and the fact, to do your research and make sure you find, a reputable brand that is using the pure essential oils, because I can imagine as well that even if you're using the roots and the barks and the leaves of plants, again, it comes back to even how they're grown, and if they're fully, full of herbicides and pesticides like that, does that filter down as well into the end product?
Yeah, so that's another thing is, why I chose the company I did is because of how they source their oils, and they tend to source it from indigenous farmers who are going to do this anyways, and more in like rural areas, and so they're not adding all that stuff. They're able to tend to it because they're not actually. Most of them aren't attending to like a huge crop, and if they do, there's a lot more people working it, because that's one of the reasons too with pesticides and all that. It's like you have to attend to a lot of things. You're not going to be able to check, is there a bug or all that on that. So sourcing is also very, very important. That's why I particularly love the company I use, because they do a lot of they source from like maybe over 100 countries around the world where these plants grow best because of the climate, because of where they're located, and they have indigenous farmers who know how to do that. But also I love the idea of co-impact sourcing. So, every time I buy a bottle of lemon, I know that I'm supporting a farmer in Italy in their work and in their community versus just like it's supporting me. So there's people at both ends of the bottle basically. And so, sourcing is important.
Yeah, so true. And then like you mentioned, there are loads of different companies out there. So how or what can it say on the label to kind of indicate that it is a high quality oil?
Well, so that's another thing is labels, it's funny, even with labels with health food, something says gluten-free and I'm like, of course it's plantain. So labels are important, but also make sure you do the research of the company. Yeah. So on the label, one of the things I ask people is, most essential oils, if they're pure, not all, but most you can take in aromatically, topically, and internally. Okay. Now, if you can take an oil aromatically, but can't take it topically, you have to just ask yourself why. Is it because of the type of oil it is that maybe directly applied to the skin, it's not good, or when taken internally, it's not good, or is there some sort of filter? Because at the end of the day, regardless of how we put it on aromatically, topically, internally, it's all going to enter our body. Mm-hmm. What we smell, things enter our body. What we put on our skin, your skin is your largest organ, so it's definitely going to enter into your bloodstream and stuff. So I think in the label, you just, if you see that, you just got to ask yourself, why is that? Is it because it's a type of oil, or is it that there might be something else in there? And most companies won't blatantly say, hey, there might be something else in there. So that's why I just do research on, how the company sources their oils, how they bottle it, how they test it to make sure it's a pure oil. So I think it's more of a research point of view, but some bottles will say how you can use it, which is important. Because I think that's one of the things people get oils and they're like, I don't know how to use them. I'm like, well, first read the bottle, but also, reach out to someone. So.
Yeah. And no, because I noticed even on some of them, because yes, doing research is highly important. But again, a lot of people choose not to, or they're too busy to. So I know even a lot of the times, like say if it says therapeutic grade or food grade, they're a naturally higher quality than some of the others maybe that don't mention that, just as a general guideline as well for people. Yeah,
agreed. Yeah, that's a good point, because most companies are trying to follow some sort of standard, and therapeutic grade is that. And so, doTERRA's is certified pure therapeutic grade. So that's just CPTG. That's just their phrase. But yeah, you're right. Therapeutic grade means that it has been tested according to a certain standard.
Amazing. And then what are some of the well, like that, there's so many and they all have their uses. But what are some of the maybe essential oils to have in the home that are maybe useful for some of the most common ailments? And what are some of those common ailments?
Yeah. So I won't go too much into the blends because I know different companies have different blends, but just to know that when it's good to blend oils, and when there are companies who put together certain blends, what they're doing is getting all the single essential oils that are known to help with one or two particular things, and you're getting a certain amount of synergy that you wouldn't get if you were using a single oil. So I love using a lot of pre-done blends, and so I just want to preface that. But there are kind of 5 that I do talk about whenever I do like a intro class, saying like I usually say these are the top 10, but 5 of them are blends and 5 of them or 6 of them are not. So definitely lemon. Lemon is an essential oil that is very strong. So the limonene content, that's the chemical constituent in lemon, is what makes it very cleansing and detoxing in nature. So lemon, can be used for cleaning. It can be used for your laundry. It can be used if you have greasy, stains, or even a whiteboard that has a stubborn and dry eraser marker. You can just use a drop of lemon and it can really just kind of like be a great alternative. The other day we accidentally put a pen in our dryer and there was like ink stains everywhere.
Oh, wow.
And so I was like, oh, okay, what do I do? And I saw, okay, use nail polish remover. I'm like, I don't really want to use that. Then suddenly out of nowhere, I remember lemon can do this. So I got a couple drops of lemon on a paper towel and some water, and it removed all of the ink stains.
Wow.
I know. So lemon, it goes a long, long way. Again, if it's that therapeutic grade. And lemon that I use, you can take internally. I love to use that. I mean, I love lemon water. But what's different about the oil, most lemon oils, at least the one I use, it comes from the peel versus the acidic part, the juice. So most people think, oh, is it going to like be acidic on my teeth? No, that's the juice. When you get it from the peel, it's a little bit soft. It's more potent, but it's a little bit softer. But it will go a long, long way. So I love using a drop of my lemon in my water just to cleanse my system daily.
Amazing. And just before you go on, just when you mentioned taking it internally as well, like, is it literally just a drop in the water? Like, obviously they don't mix. Is that fine that it sits on it? Or...
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, if you take a spoon and it'll kind of go through it.
Yeah.
It won't necessarily light it. But the thing about lemon too, I would recommend that if you do put lemon in your water, because of its citrus content, I would put it in stainless steel or glass. Do not put it in plastic, and do not put it in styrofoam, because it will start to break that down. Yeah. I've done this in a class where I got a piece of styrofoam, put a drop, and you could just see that it's breaking through it, because that's how detoxifying it is, right? So,
and how potent.
Yeah. So, just put a drop or two in your water. You could also take it. There's, some companies do empty capsules where you basically can put the oils in a capsule and take it without having to kind of taste it. So that's another way to do it. But yeah, and I would recommend internally. People often ask me this question: how much can I take internally a day? Now, you don't want to probably take more than 20 to 30. And that's hard to get because the therapeutic grade oils are so potent. You don't really need a lot to go a long way. And so don't be worried about taking too much. But again, it's all about making sure that your oil can be taken internally. Once that is, then you can kind of go do the 20 to 30 drop.
Oh, wow. I didn't think that much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get to that point. So I think that's why I tell people that, like, listen, I mean, I probably take on average of 5 to 6 drops a day. And that goes a long way. So
yeah, perfect. But again, really important. Don't just start ingesting all sorts of oils. Make sure that they're therapeutic as well, that they are of that higher quality. Just to say that again.
Yeah. And then peppermint is another really, really great one. So peppermint has a high menthol component, which is a very cooling agent. And so the peppermint I use is sourced from Washington with the high rainwater, so it can allow the cold climate can do that. But because it had that high menthol component, it's great for respiratory health. So helping just with the breathing, even if you're struggling with like a cold or something like that, helping that with that breathing process as well. It's really great for your digestive tract. So a lot of people use peppermint tea if, they have an upset tummy. It's also great for head tension or tension in your body. And so a lot of people, have tension in their head. be very careful, but getting a drop or diluting it and putting it on your temple is just very powerful. So your eyes are going to kind of like twitch a little bit if you're just putting too much. But a lot of people have been known that for that to relieve their head tension. Also cooling down. So if you're working out or in a hot climate, putting a drop of peppermint in a spray bottle. I mean, maybe even with some aloe vera if you've been in the sun and you kind of feel like you've been too hot, to just spray on you, and that will really just help you cool down in a natural way. So that's another great one to incorporate. Yeah. And lavender too. Lavender is amazing for the calming of obviously of your emotions and your mind, but also for your skin. I actually tend to combine peppermint and lavender for my skin for that cooling down thing I talked about, but also burns. And so, you're in the kitchen and you accidentally like forget to put on your mat, or you touched your pot, or even your kids, like, sometimes they don't know yet that that's a hot thing. Putting on lavender right away will really help reduce the impact of that burn on your skin. So even sunburns for that matter. And so I love using lavender for overall skin health and mental, emotional health as well. And laundry, I love putting that in my, get a dryer ball, and that kind of acts as my laundry sheet. Lavender and a couple drops of on the dryer ball. So that's another great multi-use one that you could have in your house. And then frankincense, it is like the king of oils. So it's great for your skin. It's great for any beauty regimen. It's great for your cells. So internally and externally. So, our cells, whenever anything attacks our cells, that's what causes the degeneration of our cells, which can link to long-term serious health concerns. So by, reducing that oxidization process, reducing the free radicals that attack our cells, we are helping it to recuperate and so frankincense, I diffuse this one for calming, for meditation. I put it on as a form of perfume. I use it, just on my temples as well if I'm feeling like a little tension or need a little boost. And again, on my skin, I use it with lavender, tea tree, and frankincense in a coconut oil or lotion, just to regenerate that skin and provide that nutritious element. So frankincense is
amazing.
You can use it in so many ways.
Yeah, it's powerful. Well, they're all powerful, but yes,
I know.
That's super.
Yeah. So, and then tea tree. Tea tree is the fifth one that I think is just very important to have in your house. I use it, lemon and tea tree, to clean my counters with water and vinegar. I use it for our gym clothes to get out that stinky effect. And, it's really great for your skin health again. So if you get bit by a mosquito or by an ant, putting on some tea tree will really help with that, the itching. And so you're not going to be itching as much. It's antiseptic, antiviral in nature. If you get hair issues like dandruff, lice, all those sort of things that are just cause the itchy scalp, adding some tea tree to your shampoo or conditioner can really help with the cleansing of that, getting out that, that itch and so forth. So yeah, tea tree is another great one that I just love. You can use in multiple ways. So those 5, I would say. Oh, no, then oregano. I would just say 6. Oregano, when I first got this in my kit, I was just like, why is oregano in here? I'm not going to confuse oregano.
And it's pretty potent, or the smell is strong.
It's very strong, but it is a powerhouse, especially where, in this current pandemic and health and immune boosting. All of these oils are immune boosting, but oregano in particular is so powerful to just kind of knock those things out. And so I like to use this. I diffuse it sometimes if I'm desperate, but I tend to make my own roller bottles. So with fractionated coconut oil that doesn't harden, and then oregano and some other different oils, and just roll that on my skin, on my spine, bottom of my feet, back of my neck when I'm feeling like I just need a little bit extra kind of boost and protection for my immune system. So you can cook with this one. Most of these oils, I bake with peppermint, right? You can you can use these oils in all around your house, but oregano, add it to your tomato sauce. 1 drop goes a long way, and that could even help just, boost your immune system as you eat something you love. So those 6 I love to have.
Wow. Yeah, love it. And like that, it's great to just have an idea of 6 that are super powerful, that have lots of different uses. And you mentioned some different ways that they can be used, because again, there's so many, and obviously people can keep building and get more specific. And like you mentioned, there's different blends, but I think to take the overwhelm out of it, and if people wanted to start somewhere, that's a brilliant little collection and idea to let them know of. And I can imagine, you mentioned some of them, but for some of the, I suppose, the bigger issues that a lot of people face as a result of lifestyle issues, and whether it's digestion issues or inability to sleep or insomnia. And you mentioned immune system there as well, stress and overall just mood enhancing. Can all of those kind of intertwine and fit those ailments as well?
Yeah. So, there's, again, I love the blends that are 6 or 7 oils blended. So even with digestion, peppermint and lemon right away could be the 2 that help you with that. There's other ones, there's fennel, there's caraway, there's ginger, all of those single oils too. But yeah, peppermint and lemon can help with that. Stress and sleep, frankincense and lavender can be your go-to for stress management, for sleep, for resting. Immune system, all of those. Like there's I kind of call it flu bomb, where it's like frankincense, lemon, oregano, tea tree, peppermint, and then I add doTERRA's On Guard. But those together, like even the 6 that I mentioned together, if you're just wanting to boost your immune system, can do that, right? Then like different skin issues, other health issues, a lot of those 6 oils can do that. So that's why I say get the basic oils, learn how to use them really well, and they'll be done really soon, because you realize, man, I can use frankincense for this,
everything.
This, and this,
Yeah. And then like that, you can build as you get more curious and interested and see the benefits, as well. Right. And something else you mentioned before as well about how you can use them, whether aromatically, topically, or internally. And we spoke about the internally and how, like that, if they're therapeutic grade, they can be taken easily by adding to just a drop of water to your food or whatever. Topically then as well, do they need to be blended in a carrier oil, or is it okay to put them directly on the skin as well?
Yeah, it depends on the oil. And so that's why they would, a neat oil is an oil that can be put straight on the skin. So for lavender tends to, and I'll say this. So with younger kids, you just always want to dilute. Their skin is developing, and actually diluting in a carrier oil is actually a really good thing, because what happens when you do that is that because these oils are volatile compounds, they just like go in the air and they do their thing. Using a fat like a carrier oil will help them like actually penetrate deeper into the skin and stay around longer. And so it's not like, I think people hear the word dilute, and you're not diluting its potency, you're diluting the absorption rate. And so it's still just as potent. So with kids, I definitely say like just like my daughter, like I'll use a lot of like the calming oils on her at night, and it's in a roller. And I feel totally fine with that, even though she's young. It's just because it's diluted, So as she gets older, now, if I have a friend who's, has a kid that's 12, it's like, okay, well, maybe you need to use a less amount of carrier oil and you can use more oil. So just know that there's different dilution requirements based on age. But for adults, so if the oils are like neat oils like lavender, even frankincense, they can go straight on the skin. But oils like particularly citrus oils, if you put them on the skin, do not go outside in the sun, because they're photosensitive. And so you can actually cause your body to be, get a burn or be sensitive to that. Oils like oregano, we would consider those quote unquote hot oils, meaning when they hit the skin, they can cause a lot of tingling and sensitive, it may feel like a burn. It's not burning, but it may feel like it. So you want to make sure you dilute that. That's why when I'm putting it on me topically, especially during pregnancy recently, I use those a lot, but I diluted it just to make sure. So if all else fails, use a carrier oil if you're not sure. But then as you learn a little bit more about it, it's okay if like directly, like you just need to put like an oil right straight on your skin or something like that.
Yeah, brilliant. And you mentioned kids as well. And that was something I was going to ask, about the safety around kids. But I suppose you've answered it as well in really just, it is about the diluting it for them, especially the younger they are.
Yeah, when you're, I could always give people the exact amount, but, when they're younger, you do want to use way more carrier oil than use oil. So like 2 tablespoons, if you're mixing something together, like don't put a whole bunch of oil on your kids, but, it's like 1 drop or 2 drops to two tablespoons. And as they get older, maybe it's like a teaspoon, and then maybe it's like, they don't need it. So I think that's the key, is just always err on the side of caution when they're younger.
Yeah, well, I think it's something you mentioned as well that even I was like, oh yeah, that's true, that I hadn't thought of. It's not that you're diluting it. It is just the absorption rate.
Right.
So
Right.
one drop is still as powerful, but like that, having more oil is just going to slow down the absorption rate, which is, again, has its own benefits. So that's key as well, that it is just still as potent. Then aromatically as well. So the last way we can use them as well. What exactly does that mean for people?
So obviously most people use it in diffuser. That's the most common way. And actually it's very effective, especially if you get a diffuser. By the way, different diffusers could reach a different square footage. And so sometimes if you have the smaller diffuser, but you have this huge room, you might want to put a couple in there or get another one that's can reach a huger square footage. But just don't know too, the size doesn't necessarily indicate how much. It's the speed in which the vapor, I don't know what you call it, comes out, the mist or whatever comes out. And so just always look that up when you're purchasing a diffuser. So diffusers are one of the most common ways. It's gonna just put it in the air for you. Another way is you can smell straight from the bottle. So sometimes if you're like, I just need a breather, just smell straight from the bottle. Diffuser jewelry is also very common. You can get, I have a diffuser scarf, which has a little bit of lava beads on it. So you can put that on there, earrings, bracelet, a necklace. That way you're kind of smelling them all around. And so those are the three most common ways, is straight from the bottle, using jewelry, or even a diffuser.
Amazing. And even just smelling them is still as potent. It's not like, oh, I'm just smelling it because it smells nice. We're still getting the benefits as we do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Brilliant. Well, I think that is super interesting. And like that, there's something I've been using for years and years, and I just love them. I just always have them burning, and always like that have a few in my backpack as I'm traveling, because they're just so multifunctional. And like that, when you get into it, you really do notice a difference as well. So is there anything else, I suppose, for now, for people to share, just as maybe as any other kind of messages or notes on them before we wrap up?
Yeah, I would just say, start small. I have, every time friends come over, they know I use oils and they see my little stash. They're like, whoa, you're serious? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, but I've been using them for so long. And as I use more, I get more. As I teach more, I learn more, I get more, right? So, but when I started out with 10, and I just made it a priority to pick one at a time, learn about it, and use it. So also with that, don't sit here just scared and just learning all the time. Just get one, learn, and see if it works for you. So even if you start with 1 or 2 or 3, just start using them. I think that's where you get started.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything, just allow yourself to explore, use them, take the action, and then you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Exactly. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for educating us and for sharing today. And please share as well where people can find out more about your work, because I know you have loads of information as well.
Yeah. So, if you're interested in essential oils, I have a free webinar, one-on-one, which kind of goes a little bit into depth with stuff we talked about here, that you can access. And then as well as on my Instagram or Facebook page, Madewell345 is all my handles. I tend to share, behind the scenes of if I'm ever doing like a webinar that everyone's welcome to, or, on my stories, I kind of share what I'm using or tips around that. So you follow me on social, or even if you sign up for the webinar, you'll be on my email list, so you'll know whenever I'm doing anything around essential oils in particular.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And just, I suppose, a last question that just popped into my head. I'm like, since you really started using essential oils, I know you mentioned the pain in your wrist initially is how you came across them. What have been the benefits in your own life that you've seen?
I love this question. So, I mean, obviously I used it for that, but then just opening up to a world of, wow, there are so many ways that, these gifts of the earth can care for me. And so they're my first line of defense, even in regards to protective and reactive. And so, I use them everywhere now, and I don't even think about that. I've been telling people I need to do a day in the life of, and you'll just see exactly how many oils I use. But I just feel so empowered to know that I'm taking care of my body without adding a bunch of toxins. And it's not just, I'm not adding toxins, but like they're providing nourishment for my skin. They're providing focus for my brain and all that. So, I mean, overall, I've just been more energetic. I'm able to calm my emotions a lot, quicker, or be able to get to the root of my emotions. even things with my husband, if when he works out and he started to feel like, oh, my muscles are hurting, it's like, I have a natural solution for that. So I just think most of all, it's just felt me especially as someone who cares about health and wellness, just feel empowered to know that I don't have to always rely on an external source to take care of myself, that I can kind of start home. And then obviously if it gets really serious, then I'm like, I can go to all these professionals, right? So it's just making me feel really empowered that I can actually take care of me and my family at home.
Yeah, I love that. They are first line of defense and non-toxic. And at the end of the day, we are nature, and nature is our greatest pharmacy. So that's why I love them as well, that if we can use them to support us, like you mentioned, in so many different ways, between the nourishment, the focus and immune system and everything. I mean, we're just helping ourselves no matter what. Like there are only benefits. So I really appreciate you joining and sharing today. And thank you so much. And I just wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you get notified every time a new show is released. Get more information on this week's guest as well on my website, www.soulpowerlight.com.